All right, I believe we're live. Hello and welcome back to another HD Reach Game Over HD live stream. Tonight, I have a very special guest, Erin Paterson, here with us. Woo! I keep saying I'm gonna get a soundboard and have like the clapping sounds, but Discord's got their own soundboard, so I should probably just add some clapping sounds in there. Or we'll do it. We'll do it in post. You know. Since we saw each other last,
That
um,
was quite a while ago.
um, I had a baby.
Yes, exciting. How old?
I didn't have a baby, but
Yeah.
I am the father.
With all of my time before.
Yes. What? I'm so confused. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're gonna be playing some games tonight. We're using this gaming website called play.gamingcouch.com. We're just gonna be having that going in the background, playing some games together. If you don't know, Erin is a true gamer, so watch out for her on the
Yeah.
sticks. Um, if you all don't know Erin is an author, an editor, um, just a huge advocate for Huntington's disease, and anyone impacted by Huntington's disease. If you haven't had the chance to read any of her work, you really need to. I'm sure we'll have it linked somewhere, especially as we start sending out some videos from our chat. But thank you so much for joining tonight.
Thanks for having me, even though I'm an amateur at gaming.
Amateur.
I don't even
Says
know.
says
Novice,
everybody
beginner.
says everybody that's ever kicked my butt at a game. Um all right, let me see how to I need to pull this screen back up. But so you've got a little bit of advantage. I heard you played this a little bit the other day.
Oh, for like 5 seconds, and my character just spun around in a circle the whole time.
We're just going to click go.
Oh, that's the one.
This is the one?
Yeah, that's the one we played yesterday.
Oh, Cowboys, The Ring.
Yeah.
What is happening? Tip dash hold dash to jump.
Oopsie. I just went into the fire, which is not what you're supposed to do.
Where am I going? Oh.
I think you're dead. Oh, I win.
What is... Okay.
Oh, and now there's a whole bunch of people. Oh,
That
I
was
guess
just
that
a
was just a
practice round?
practice. Or maybe not.
Oh, you gotta... Okay. Oh, this is sick. Okay. Get out of here. Get out of here, fool. Oh! Wait, why'd you... why'd you start spinning so hard? That was crazy.
My MO.
Hey, you had that spin on lock. Erin, do you mind just talking a little bit about what you have worked on as far as now? And everybody says that they never expected it to be so challenging. Wait, she said shoot start over bad service.
Oh.
Race. Hold forward to... hello? Erin, were you holding forward?
I was trying to, but then nothing was happening.
Yeah, same. That's what happened to me.
Race to the ferry. Oh, you can angle your headlights.
Um. Oh. Oh. Am I supposed to have my finger on both parts of the screen? Like, am I supposed to
Oh no, but that game is apparently done.
take the first spot? More driving.
Tap the gas for tighter donuts.
See, you see how the screen is like split? I think you're supposed to hold on that.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Well, what spot is it? Nobody's left. Hold on. Don't. Oh.
how do you make your guy turn?
Uh. Uh. The left side of your screen will let you turn left or right. Interesting. Erica has not texted me back, so I'm going to assume everything is fine. Um, but like I was asking, um, can you just list off what books you are associated with?
Yep, I have. My first book was called All Good Things, and it's a memoir about finding out Huntington's disease ran in my family and making the decision to go through genetic testing and testing gene positive, and how that impacted my decision whether or not to have kids.
Mm,
As we all know, that's a very complicated decision to make. The
yeah.
second book I did after that was called Huntington's Disease Heroes, and I worked with, I think, a historian, Erica and Melissa.
Hey, nice. Okay.
And that's more about rare diseases, not just Huntington's, but there are 4 Huntington's stories in there. And then the last one is my favorite is Bloopy the Alien Learns About Huntington's Disease that my daughter wrote. And we published that story as a kid's book.
That is
So
such a
it
good
was the
book.
most fun to work on because it's about an alien.
That seems a little different for your standards.
Well,
Look,
I
you're
mean, because it's about
driving.
an alien. Yeah, I can drive, but that's it. I can't go.
Okay,
I can
so
go
the
forward
left
and
side of
backwards.
the left side of your screen, there's a left and right. Don't hit forward or backward. Just try and move that left or right. There you go. See, now if you go forward, you're gonna go. Yep.
Ah, I see. Get out of the way.
Tell your story in your like what made you want to put it on paper and write about it?
I wanted to tell my story personally because what I had gone through felt like such a big deal that just writing a blog or doing a social media post didn't feel like enough.
Needed
And
more words.
yeah, I felt like the seriousness of a book matched the
Mm.
seriousness of the situation that I had gone through in it. Going through genetic testing literally changed the person I am and changed the whole entire direction of my life. So that's why I wanted to put it in as a book. And also, in my family, people are very secretive about HD. Nobody really talks about it, and I just didn't enjoy that experience of living that way
Mm.
and having the secret. So that's why I decided to write about it and put it in a book.
Yeah,
It was very cathartic as well. It really helped me process what I'd gone through.
I can't imagine. Just finally putting your story on paper. I'm sure that did it like give you some power over it? Like, did you felt like I get to control how this is received, or like was there a different feeling around that?
I would say it didn't give me power, but like I after the book was released, I felt this tremendous sense of relief that I didn't have to hold on to their stories and remember them anymore. They
Mm,
could live inside of the book. So, it, it was a big traumatic thing that I went through, I feel, when I went through genetic testing because I didn't know anybody from the HD community at all and I had zero support.
mm-hmm.
Um, so I really did feel very alone in the world. So because it changed me so much, I just felt like I couldn't just let that go. I needed
Sure.
a way of letting it go. So writing about it definitely helped me let it go.
I'm glad you shared that because I feel like a lot of people, um, just in life in general, it doesn't even have to be about HD, but in general, find themselves like gravitating towards writing about their experiences just because I don't know. I feel like it offers almost like a this might not be the right word, but like a sense of validation, like a
Mm-hmm.
um just like this is this is my truth, whatever that truth may be. Um and I mean, you know as well as I do, especially since writing the book composed of so many different stories. Um, people have a lot of people have a lot to say and talk about when it comes to their experiences with things.
Everybody's experience is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And just because somebody else out there is already telling their HD story doesn't mean that you shouldn't tell yours as well. And a lot of the people that I work with have been sort of shut down so much in their lives because people don't understand Huntington's or it makes them uncomfortable or they're just trying to make things better for you that they don't really let you sit there and express what you're going through, which sometimes that's all you need to do is just express it.
Mm-hmm.
So then a lot of people give up trying to express it and to find connection with people.
For sure.
So when I reach out, a lot of people, when I reach out to them about sharing their story in one of my books, they always say to me things like, "Oh, I've been wanting to write my story. I was just waiting for the right opportunity." And it's sometimes the first chance that they've really gotten to express the depths of those emotions without anybody shutting them down. And a lot of the times when people send in their first draft to me, when I'm doing edits with them, I'm just asking them more questions about their story, because we're so used to being shut down that when our first draft comes out, it's just glossing over these big life events really
Mm-hmm.
quickly. And then I'm saying, well, this seemed like it was a big deal to you. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? I would like to know more if you feel comfortable sharing it, because it's always up to the person who is writing their story, what part of their life that they want to share. They have complete control over that. And then it goes from just saying something in two sentences to really expanding on it. There was one lady I'll never forget. She wrote about in two sentences that she had a near death experience,
In two
and
sentences.
yeah, and but then there's all this other stuff around it, and I was just like, well, that seems like a big deal. Can you tell me more about that? And she said, well, usually when I mention that, it makes people so uncomfortable they change the subject and don't want to hear anything else.
Mm.
And I said, but I would really like to hear more about it if you feel comfortable sharing it. And then she ended up writing her entire chapter about that near death experience.
Wow.
And what a gift that is to us to be able to read what that is like
Yeah.
and to see how that changed her life. And I had no experience writing
Yeah.
before that. And what I would do when I was writing my own story was I would just sit down and think about what do I feel called to write about today? And I would picture myself back in that moment. Like, just say if I was writing about being at the doctors getting my genetic test results, and I would just imagine being in that room and who was there with me
Mm.
and how it felt to be there and how scared I was of that moment to get that news, and just sort of describe it moment by moment and actually act as if I was there,
Mm.
even though it had been a number of years.
Yeah.
That's the way that I would write. I still do that now, I think. I still do that now.
Yeah. Um, so I guess that leads me to my next question: is would you would you write that same book over again, and do you think it'd be any different, like as a second go, or do you think it would take away from the original?
I always wanted the original to not be a glossed over version of what I had gone through and what I had experienced. I wanted people to really understand the depths of the emotions that I was going through and how hard
Mm-hmm.
all of those decisions were. So, in some points, the book can be pretty dark, but that was actually intentional.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
No. That
yeah, because it wasn't
I think that's a
easy.
good thing. I mean that
Yeah.
we the the raw, honest truth and emotion behind that truth is invaluable.
Yeah, not the glossed over version necessarily. Like, oh, it's been 10 years since I tested, and here's what I've learned. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, this is in the moment after I was testing. Here's the depression I faced. And I talk about barely being able to get out of bed in the morning and that there was a random sock on the floor for like a week because I just didn't have the mental energy to pick up the sock and put it in the laundry bin. That's how depressed I was. Or I would ride my bike to work and I would just be crying all the way to work. And then I owned my own business at the time and it was in retail. And as anybody who's worked in retail knows, people are not nice to people in retail. So, I'd have to go in and kind of face abuse from customers while I had all of this raw emotional stuff going on. Or I became afraid to answer the phone because I was just so used to all these bad things happening.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if anything else bad happens, I don't know if I can cope with it. I think I'll just break down crying in public.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that was always my biggest fear, breaking down crying in public, even though now I think we should do that.
We definitely
Uh,
should.
I mean,
We need to erase that stigma. If
yeah, it's nothing to be ashamed of to be going through something difficult.
not at all. How
Yeah.
what were some ways that you sort of got yourself out of that spot?
I made the decision very early on that I didn't want my diagnosis. I don't know if I mentioned that I tested gene positive. So I didn't want my diagnosis to ruin my life. And at the time, there weren't very many people out there who were good role models to follow.
Mm.
I did follow Michael J. Fox, but um, when I was first diagnosed, he wasn't really around much at that point. So I just made the decision I don't want this to ruin my life. I want to find happiness again. And I just tried every day to make myself happy somehow. I didn't know how it was possible to ever be happy again. Like, how can you ever be accepting of the fact that I was going to get Huntington's disease? Like, it just didn't make sense that it would ever feel okay.
Sure.
And sometimes I would do silly things like buy a yellow coffee mug so that I could drink my coffee from a yellow cup every day because yellow was my favorite color at the time. Or I had a happiness journal and I forced myself to write one good thing every day that happened to me.
Did you were you talking to someone and they were
No,
giving you these recommendations, or you were
no.
just finding these small wins on your own?
I just had to kind of make it up as I go. I wasn't in any kind of therapy at that point in time. And I didn't know anybody from the HD community whatsoever. And
Wow.
so I felt
Well,
very alone in all of that.
kudos to you for finding those small wins, because that shows such incredible emotional intelligence to just
Thank you.
to be able to to find those tools and create those tools for yourself. Um, it is not knocking anyone that is immediately going to talk to someone to find these
No, of course
tools.
not.
That
I
is
just didn't know any resources at that time, right?
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're finding your way through it.
Yeah. And reading was a big deal to me as well.
Mm.
And I remember the first time I read a book about somebody who had gone through a stroke, and I was reading about the brain, and I was like, oh my God, this is like so scary for me to read a book about the brain. But like that
Mm.
was like a big step for me, to read that book and understand what that person's experience was and learn from it. And um, yeah, anytime you read a book, you might just relate to one sentence in the entire book, and that might be the thing that gets you through the next day, right?
Right. I'm sorry, Aaron. Once this person commented in the chat, said, "Haven't seen you in years, and the few
Oh,
memories that come to mind is being out there at second base catching grounders." So somebody back from the baseball days. Um,
I wonder who that is.
yeah.
Because yeah, like I was on the last time I was on a baseball team was a very long time ago, and that's actually how I met my husband.
Oh,
And we've just been married 25 years last in June.
congrats on that. 25 years.
Yeah,
Um, if you don't mind, we'll take it. A little further back.
sure.
I heard you mention um, that. Also, by the way, thank you for hopping in the chat and just saying hello. It's always nice to get little pop ins from people. Um, and you know, if you're comfortable, share a first name or something so we can also share those memories with you. Um, but I was gonna ask you. You had mentioned hint one of the twins.
I don't want to do the cowboy ring again because I'm very bad at that.
Was that an option? I didn't even get to vote.
Oh, I guess I voted for you.
Big decisions here. Well, I was saying, you had mentioned that your family didn't talk about it a whole lot.
Yeah.
What is this? What am I drawing?
Oh, you're just supposed to not hit yourself,
Oh,
I think, and not bump into me. Oh,
okay. So I don't bump into you, and I don't hit myself.
or bump into those lines.
So what I'm hearing is I should try and block you.
It's okay. I'll do a good job of blocking myself.
Bro, Austin, you just dossed yourself, homie. No, I appreciate it, man. Good to see you. Thanks for hopping in here. I think the last thing I saw. Wait, how did we just disappear like that?
No.
I think the last thing I saw from you on the social medias was some you looking dapper at something.
To me?
Oh, sorry, I was talking to the chat. Um, but I'm sorry. Back again. You said your family didn't really talk about it a whole lot. How old were you when you found out about Huntington's disease, and how?
Yeah, I wasn't until I was 31, and I was already. I made the announcement to my parents that I was going to have kids. I was ready to have a family,
Wow.
and then
Okay.
they're like, "Oh, perhaps you should check into this thing that might run in our family that you could risk passing on to your kids. Maybe you want to look into that first."
That's when you found out.
Yeah, yeah. I knew my grandmother had passed
Wow.
away from something, but she died before the genetic test was available.
Okay.
So, I'd heard the words Huntington's disease mentioned, or, Huntington's or Parkinson's or
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's, like those are the words I heard, but um, nobody said anything until I made the announcement that we were trying to have kids.
Hmm. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Um,
It, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Not much you can do about it.
how what after that like shock? What was the next step for you? Like, you know, 31 years old, wanting to start a family, and then you get hit with this news.
Oh, we had already started trying. So, once you start down a path, it's hard to just stop.
Sure.
But I didn't tell my family this, but I made the decision to keep trying. And learn more about it. Like, it felt like a very theoretical exercise, because there's not much to read on the internet at that time, and everything was very clinical.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I actually made the decision to go through genetic testing, and I tested gene positive 10 months later. So, as you can imagine, that's pretty
Wow,
quick.
that is
Um,
that is very quick.
yeah, and I didn't even really understand the implications of the decision I was making because, again, I didn't know anybody from the HD community. So, when you talk about chorea or cognitive difficulties, like those things didn't mean anything to me. They were just a list of symptoms that didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it wasn't until my dad started having those issues that I, could come to understand what those things mean.
Mm. And for anyone that's in the chat and doesn't know what Huntington's is, it is a neurodegenerative disease that affects your movement, your mind's ability to um, act as quickly as it usually would, and your memories. So it it's sort of this conglomerate of things um, that what are we eyeballs? Um,
Yep.
that disrupts the body's ability to function as it should. You can right there in the chat is the link to learn more about Huntington's disease. My dad passed away from Huntington's disease. I've been through genetic testing. I am gene negative. Um, my sister is gene positive. So pretty much, long story short, and even though Erin is not a fan of long stories being turned short, that is pretty much how I got here, and am fortunate enough to talk with people like Erin and hear their stories and experiences and share with you all. But ooh, you won that round.
Finally. That's the first thing I've won.
Yeah, Eric is cheering for you in the chat.
Oh.
Frognado said, even though he has Parkinson's, it's similar to HD. Yeah. Some of the movements and Korea. The first thing that we think of is Huntington's disease, of course.
I always just like to explain it in the way that it impacts my dad. So in the beginning, he had a lot of emotional issues and emotional outbursts, but
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of physical symptoms. And then as he got older, um, he had more physical symptoms and he started having the chorea. And then he started using a walker. Eventually, he's in a wheelchair. And around the same time, he stopped being able to have facial expressions and he couldn't really smile very much. And then it took him longer and longer to answer questions. So, now I always ask him yes or no questions because it's easier for him to answer by saying yes or no than trying to come out with a complete sentence. Like
For
at
sure.
this point, it's kind of like when my dad says 3 sentences in a row, I feel like I've had an entire conversation and it feels really nice.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's so unusual for him to be able to have a good day and have a conversation like that. So pretty much my role as his caregiver now is having to advocate for him and be his voice
That's a
and
big
ask him,
deal.
yeah, especially within the, when he's in the hospital or he's in long-term care now with the nursing staff and all of that kind of stuff. I always ask my dad how he feels about certain things, but it does take a long time to get the information out of him, which I know in a hospital setting, people don't always have the time for.
For sure. Yeah. One I remember a lot of those similar things with my dad, and Frognado Man says I can relate. Yeah, for sure. Um, I remember a lot of those similar things with my dad, and um, it definitely taught me a lot of patience.
Yes.
Um, Something that I'm very thankful for now that I have my own family.
Yes.
Um, at the time, um, at first it can be really, really difficult and um, even sad sometimes.
Of course.
Um, ooh, I'm tiny. Um, but just like anything, just like humans are able to do in unbelievable ways, you adapt and um, oh, I hate the term new normal, but it becomes your new normal. And you're right. When you do get those moments, one thing that always comes to mind for me is my dad's laugh. Like, I don't think I will. Ooh. I don't think I'll ever be able to forget how my dad laughs because it was just so unique and it was so in your face. Like, I'm going to laugh at this so hard, and I don't care who is watching or listening. Um, and those are the moments that I felt like I was still the most connected with him. You talked about like getting through 3 questions and getting yes or no answers and feeling successful. Like the biggest marker of success for me was the laughing. Like if I could get him to laugh or grin at something that I was talking about or saying, like I was like,
That's
that's
really
a
nice.
win. Yep.
That's really nice. That's a beautiful memory.
Mm-hmm. Um, Frognado Man says, "LOL, sounds like my dad too." Yeah, maybe it's a dad thing. Maybe maybe it's just a norm. I'm working at it. I'm only 5 months in, so we'll see. I'll let you know. Stay tuned for updates. Um, but how did you decide that the genetic testing was the route you wanted to take? That's something we talk about all the time in the Huntington's community is like, should I get tested? Should I not get tested? What was that determining factor or factors or what pushed you to pursue that route for
I
yourself?
think it's because of the way that my parents presented it to me as if like this is the thing that you should be doing. This is the responsible thing to do.
Mm,
Um, and I really valued my parents' opinion and followed what they wanted me to do at that time. I never really went against their wishes. So I feel that it's partly because of how they presented it. I'm not saying that that's a right or wrong way of presenting it, but that's just the way that it was. And then I also felt like I wanted to have some kind of control over my future and just know either way so that I could prepare for my future.
mm,
But I faced a lot of like I had a lot of anger after I got tested because then I realized, well, there's really not much I can do besides what I was doing already, which is like
mm-hmm,
don't drink, don't smoke, and eat healthy
mm-hmm,
and exercise. Right? That's kind of the lifestyle I already had. So I had a number of years where I'm like, what's the point of testing? What's the point of knowing if there's nothing I can do? But I have realized since I've become more of a caregiver for my dad that for me, the point has been that I'm teaching my daughter about Huntington's disease now. She's been learning about it ever since she was a newborn baby, and she's now 14 years old. And she is an expert at handling my dad and dealing with my dad. Like, she's better than
nice.
so many adults that I know out there. And I know that she's going to be really prepared for when I do get sick and she has to be in that caregiving role. She'll kind of like have had a preview of what there is to do. So I think for me, that's been one of the positives that has come out of it.
Yeah, for sure. setting her up for success and providing her with all the proper tools and just I mean, heck, just even being around it, but also acknowledging what it is, goes such a long way. Um, what are you doing over there?
I'm trying to drink the milk, but I don't know how to drink it. I only know how to run around with it.
What am I supposed to be doing?
I don't know.
Warm up
Oh,
over.
that's just the warm up.
I didn't do anything. All right, y'all. We're gonna have an ad in just a few minutes. Oh, drink me. How'd you? Oh,
I think you just.
oh! I just got to run around and hold on to this thing. If you tap on the right side of your screen, you'll dash and it'll hit me. Ooh!
Oh, I got a table. Oh no, that's a silly. Should I go out the door? Let's see what happens.
Oh!
Nope, that is not the right strategy.
So how long before or how long after finding out your gene status did you start sharing that with people?
I only told it. There was a handful of people that I used to run with, and they were the only ones who knew I was going through testing. My family didn't even know that I was going through testing.
Mm,
So those are the people that I shared it with. This is like maybe 3 or 4 people. But I was really terrified to tell anybody about it, because I thought if people knew I was gene positive for it, that they wouldn't want to be friends with me,
mm.
um, or have anything to do with me. I thought I was really terrified. I thought if my customers found out, they would stop shopping at my store, or my
Oh
husband would ask
goodness.
for a divorce. Like I was really terrified of those things happening, so I kept it a secret for a very long time.
How did you approach
Eventually,
that?
I did tell my family. The reason I went through testing without my family knowing is because at the time my parents told me that I might be at risk for ADD. My dad hadn't gone through testing yet, and I didn't want to force him or um, make him rush into testing if he wasn't ready because I knew it was a big decision. So I went through genetic testing on my own, and it wasn't until I walked into the counselor's office and I thought to myself, oh gee, if I test positive, that means my dad has it and I can't tell anybody. Like it didn't I didn't even clue into me until that moment. And
Mm,
then, that is what happened. I tested positive and then I thought, oh, my dad has it. Some of the things that I'm seeing in his behavior are starting to make sense now, but I can't tell anybody. So
how did?
luckily I only had to keep that secret for about a month.
Okay.
Because my dad was going through genetic testing at the same time as me, and he just didn't tell me. Um,
Oh,
Yeah, and we
wow.
actually ended up
Okay.
getting our test results on the exact same day. And I was in the morning and then he was in the afternoon, but the genetic counselor knew that we are from the same family, so she made sure that we were spread out when we went in for our results.
Mm, mm. Wow. You know, this is like this is exactly why it is important to and I'm how did you do that? To hear everybody's stories because everybody's stories are so different and you learn so much every time you hear someone tell their story. You can ask the same questions to every single person, and every time you will get a completely different answer, a completely different experience, and you'll gain some insight every time. So did after you tested positive and your dad found out he was positive on his own accord, did your family start addressing it
No, everybody just kept their head in the sands because at that point my brothers didn't know what was going on either, and they lived at the other side of the country, like a 5 hour plane ride away. So that's
Wow.
not something you want to tell people over the phone, right?
Sure.
But then
Yeah.
even after it was out in the open, my family just didn't really talk about it much.
Um, if you don't mind me asking, do you have other people in your family that may be impacted by Huntington's disease that don't know it,
Um,
or just haven't
I'm
really
not
been?
really very close to that side of the family that it comes from. Um, I know there's people at risk, whether or not they're aware of it, I'm not sure. Um, yeah, that side of the family just doesn't really talk about it much, but I feel like they see me doing stuff on social media, so they must be aware. And they now know that my dad has it, so they must be aware vaguely of what's going on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But when my dad was starting to have symptoms, I would go speak to my uncle about it, and he wouldn't really engage in the conversation with me.
Hmm.
Or if I try to say to people, I'm afraid of what my future is going to hold, they'd just be like, oh, there's no sense in worrying about your future. You never know what's going to happen. That whole, you could get hit by a bus
Yeah.
tomorrow. Why are you worried about it? I faced a lot of that. Yeah. So even when my dad was having symptoms and I would talk about it to them, they would just brush it off. And then I started to actually even doubt myself. Is this actually what I'm seeing? Does my dad actually have symptoms or am I just imagining all of these things?
Yeah. I mean,
Which is pretty crazy to think.
yeah. Yeah. But I mean, that's the power of it. Um, that one's tough.
I don't even know what you're supposed to do.
I
Not
guess you
fall off.
just I guess you just stay on the blocks, but the blocks get blown up.
Oh.
This is why we play games, for the comedic relief. How did you approach your family with that? Like, how did you approach your husband? I mean, you mentioned that you were already married.
Mhm.
Um, how you have Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't know what else to say. Where did you begin? Where did you start?
Well, my husband came with me when I went through all the
Okay,
genetic
so he
testing.
was
So
with
he
you through
came
the
with
whole
me to
thing.
all of my appointments and stuff. Yeah. And he always said, whatever decision you make, that's up to you. It's your life. You can choose what you want to do.
Hmm.
And for a long, long time, I was very insecure about our relationship. And I just would always say, are you sure you love me? Are you sure you love me? Are you sure you don't want a divorce? Are you sure you don't want to have kids with somebody who it's
Hmm.
easier to have kids with? And he would always just reiterate, no, I'm sure I want you. Um, Whatever happens, happens. And it's not your fault if our kids get HD, if you pass it along to them. It's just something that might happen. Yes, of course I love you even with HD. Like he just kept repeating that over and over for years on it, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I just like
sometimes you
had
need
no
it.
self-esteem, no self-worth. And it took a long time for me to build all of those things back up again. Oh, we're back to this.
We are. It's a quick warm up. Frognado Man says, "Great guy." Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Talking about your husband.
Oh yeah, for sure. I couldn't do anything I do if it weren't for him. He's so supportive even to this day. And I'll come up to him and say, oh, I have this idea of this conference that I want to go to. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Let's make a family vacation of it. We'll all go. Or, he's always on board for any ideas I have. So
That
I
is
could
great.
definitely couldn't do without his support for sure.
how what was it? What how are you feeling about the kid situation and the Huntington's disease? And was that all you mentioned you were already trying when you
Mhm.
found out from your family that oh hey there's this thing. Um, where did that play a role in the dynamics of just Huntington's disease?
Um, well, at first I said that I'm going to have kids anyway, and we're just going to try and conceive naturally. And I said that um, my life has value as a person with HD, and so would the life of our child if they
Mm-hmm.
happen to have HD as well. Um, but at the same time, it was really hard. Like I'm not saying it very eloquently.
No, you're fine.
In order for me to be accepting of myself as a person with HD, I had to be accepting of any potential children I had
Mm,
as people with HD. Because if I wasn't accepting of my child, how could I be accepting of myself? So that's why we decided to have kids naturally. Unfortunately, after a year of trying, we still weren't pregnant, and we ended up seeking the help of our family doctor, who referred us on to a fertility doctor. And then we were quickly sucked into the world of infertility treatments, and again, we tried to do things that were as minimally invasive as possible at first. But after a year and a half of fertility treatments and nothing working, we were faced with doing in vitro fertilization.
mm,
And I said to myself at the time, well, if I'm going to go to the extent of doing in vitro fertilization, then I want to do genetic testing on the embryos.
mm.
Because I couldn't think of saying to my kid, oh yeah, we just didn't want to spend the extra money to do genetic testing, even though we were going that far. Um, but that was back in around 2006. So genetic testing on the embryos was still very new
Oh,
and
okay.
not widely available. It wasn't even available in Canada, and we had to ship cells from our embryos down to the United States to get tested. And it
Jeez.
was still
Okay.
considered experimental at the time. And just the genetic testing portion cost $20,000. Now, we didn't pay the $20,000 because some of it was funded through a private organization. But I think we had to pay $5,000 at the time. And on our first round of in vitro fertilization, all of our embryos had Huntington's disease.
Oh,
So we
wow.
didn't even get to do a transfer. So that felt like a big waste of money. So we did try it again one more time, and we had two embryos that were HD free, but neither of them resulted in a pregnancy. And so
Wow.
then after that, we decided to reevaluate our options. There's literally so many different fertility treatments and options for fertility treatments that you could be trying to get pregnant for 20 years and still not have done everything, right? Like I just feel like, and I just thought I don't want to spend that much of my life trying for this if it's not going to work. So we did look at donor embryo and donor egg at the time, but decided it wasn't right for us. And we looked into adopting instead. And
Hmm.
so we went through the process of adoption in Canada, which is similar to how it works in the United States. And we were lucky to be chosen by a birth mother to be the parents of her newborn baby girl. So
Wow.
that's how we ended up creating our family. But that whole journey took 5.5 years. So it was 5.5 years of hardships, to put it lightly.
Yeah, no joke. I mean, I, I didn't know until somebody fairly close to me started going through IVF, just how little infertility in general is truly talked about.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess you can equate that to just not talking about women's health in general. Um, you just ran me over.
Oh, the fairy's not there yet, so I'm just gonna splash into the water.
Oh, me too. Um, and
One in
so,
seven, 1 in 7 go through infertility. 1 in 7 couples. It's very common.
yeah, I saw something not long ago, and it floats. back around in my um, on my feed every once in a while of like that that older couple that never had kids. They were probably struggling with infertility and just never said anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and 2006 wasn't that long ago. Um, and so even to be where we are with things now, and it's still not really talked about,
Right.
really blows my mind. I mean, that itself could be a whole nother conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But that honestly, all of that just to say thank you for talking about it and being so open about it, and helping the next person realize that it is more normal and it is okay um, to be going through all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's light at the end of the tunnel. You have a daughter,
Yes. It just didn't happen the way I originally thought, but it
right?
happened in a beautiful way that I'm very happy with now. So,
Right, right.
yeah, and she's now 14. So,
Wow, jeez.
mm-hmm.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
We've played this one quite a bit.
Yeah, it keeps coming up.
I put it on like 19 games this time. So there's a link in the chat if you're interested in Erin's books. The link is there. I highly recommend any of them, but I have to back Erin and say that Bloopy the Alien is probably top tier.
Yeah. My daughter reads a lot of books, and I asked for her to write a story in HD Heroes, and she said, "But what would I even write about?" And I said, "Something about Grandpa." And she goes, "Yeah, but what? What could I even write about?" And I said, "Why don't you just write a story about an alien that comes to Earth and meets your grandpa?" And that was it.
That
And
is
then,
how it got its start?
yeah, yeah. And then a week later, she went into her room and just, wrote that entire story. And I literally helped her add 2 sentences into it. All of that was completely her
Wow.
because she reads a ton. So she's a natural born writer because she reads so much.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What does she have another piece in
She's
the
working
works
on
right
a
now?
few. Yeah, she's working on some kind of vampire novel. I'm not even sure. She's always working on something. She's writing plays and skits for school, and
Wow, okay.
we thought recently it'd be cool to do the next version of Bloopy the Alien for the next age level. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
not like the little kids picture book, but the middle grade
Mm-hmm.
or even teenage Bloopy.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway,
Oh,
but she's
I
starting high
like
school
that
next year,
concept.
so she'll be
Teenage
busy.
Bloopy.
Yeah, teenage Bloopy of some sort.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep. That yeah, that'd be a win for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um and
Well,
it's a
she was like a witness to all of the things that were happening with my dad, and um, the idea behind the book is that it's teaching people about three things about Huntington's disease, like three pretty common things in a very simple way. And yeah, because even she would see even the professional caregivers that would work with my dad didn't know how to talk to my dad a lot of the time.
yeah.
Um, they didn't understand that you had to slow down or wait for an answer, and then my dad would get angry at them because they would start doing things without asking his permission first. So she wanted to do something to help bring that issue to light. So the first thing talks about using a walker and what is a walker and why do you have a walker. The second one is about just waiting for somebody to reply. and giving them time. And then the last one is about it was an actual thing that happened with my daughter. My dad went to give her a hug goodbye and accidentally slapped her across the face because of his shaky movements. And then she was upset by that. So it's just about what are the shaky movements. And then in the book, she says to the alien, like, why don't you go try and give him another hug?
Mm.
He wasn't trying to hurt you on purpose. So those are the three things in the book.
It seems so simple, but it tells such an important message,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that it's a kid's book. I mean, it is easy to grasp, easy to understand, and it's a very unique twist on advocacy for HD. Um, I don't know of another kids book that is oriented around Huntington's disease. Actually, I think somebody may have referenced one of
There's a
another.
few. Yeah, there's a
Really?
few, and they're all about different things. Like Jimmy Pollard wrote one called Finding Nana's Smile. That's not, they don't mention Huntington's disease, but it can, uh, it has to do with not being able to smile anymore. So other diseases have
Mm,
that as well, right? Not just Huntington's
hmm.
disease.
So
And
maybe
there's
it
a
was
couple of
meant to
other kids'
stay.
books. So, and the funny thing is, I left 10 copies for my dad, and they all got taken.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
stolen probably, but nobody asked him. But I'm like, whatever. As long as they're reading it and getting the
that's
message, I
right.
don't care how many copies I bring here and leave.
That's exactly right. As long as somebody's learning something.
Yeah. And then when my daughter, after she wrote the book and we got the first copy printed up, my dad didn't know that we were writing it. So then I pulled her out of school for the day and then we went up to go visit my dad. And then she said, Grandpa, I have something I want to show you. So she pulled up a chair next to his wheelchair and she pulled out the book and started reading it to him. And then it still makes me teary eyed now. And
Mm,
then he just looked at it. And when we turned the page to the first time he was in the book, he just went, "It's me. It's me." And
that
he
is
actually had a
sweet.
smile on his face, right? And then we took him for a walk throughout the retirement home and he just kept showing different people and saying, "It's me, it's me."
Oh
So he
my
was really happy.
gosh. Talk about a proud moment.
Yeah, it was a very nice memory. I don't videotape a lot of things, but that one I did videotape.
Rightfully so. As you should. That is really, really sweet. What is happening here? I thought these were supposed to be small enough for us to bust up. Oh.
Well, whatever you did or did not do got you into first place.
I think the whole point is we avoid those and try and attack each other.
Oh,
Oh, be the last one alive.
but they don't kill you if you bump into them.
They don't, but they.
Oh, you killed me. That's what we're supposed to do.
I think they push you around. I think that's what they're for. The asteroids mimic games are probably my favorite ones on here so far. Oh,
Almost. I swear I thought I got you.
you did, but somehow it like didn't like get me all the way.
Oh, you have to hit. I guess I have to hit you more than one time.
Mm, that's it. That's what it is. So, with your experience being your experience, genetic testing wise, do you have any advice for anybody that may have just found out about Huntington's in their family, um, or is considering genetic testing, in that, any advice for someone in that pursuit or not pursuit?
That no matter what decision you make, whether you go through testing or not, it's the right decision. Um, even though people in your family might not understand why you're making that decision, doesn't mean that it's wrong. And then when you're trying to make all of these big life altering decisions, it could feel so overwhelming and all consuming. And it feels like it will never not be that way. But life does sort of normalize again, and you do get used to the information and you do find ways of coping with it. Um, so it may feel really, really horrible in the beginning, but it's not always going to be really horrible like that. And I think the most important thing that I've learned, and I've only learned this in the last 5 years, is that the community is your safety net, and the community is where you're going to find people who understand. And if you could get yourself to any kind of education day or HD conference of some sort, you're going to walk into that room and you're going to express how you feel, and somebody else is going to say, yeah, I totally get that. And they're going to give you a hug. And that's going to be one of the most impactful moments of your life. And those friendships are going to last forever. And those people are going to be there to support you on your journey, even if they're not in the same town or state as you, not even in the same country. Like, I reach out to people in the United States all of the time for help and support with my dad. And nobody understands an HD, somebody who's suffering from HD, like another fellow community member does. I can ask doctors questions, and I can ask physiotherapists things and social workers things, but it's always the HD community member and the HD caregivers that give me the answers that I'm looking for. So I think that would be my number one piece of advice, is really, even though it's scary and it's really terrifying to do it, step into the community and let them embrace you and let them help you.
Do you have any advice for people seeking support for their kids, and being being exposed to Huntington's disease, or educated around Huntington's disease, or normalizing Huntington's disease in their lives?
We just always talked about it in my family. I decided that when I was raising my daughter, I didn't want to stick my head in the sand like my family had done. And I just thought, well, I'm just always going to talk about it like it's a normal thing and it's not a big deal. So if grandpa couldn't do something with my daughter, I would say, well, grandpa can't do that because his legs are too shaky because of his Huntington's disease. If you want to play that game with him, then you guys need to sit down. Or grandpa can't go on that big long walk with you anymore because he's tired out now because of his Huntington's disease. He can't do the same things that he used to do. And I would just always say, because of his Huntington's, because of his Huntington's. And just, it's just a part of our life. It's not like this big reveal like happened with me. And my daughter has really embraced it, and it's really like not a big deal to her. It's just a part of her life. And she even knows that I'm going to get HD one day too. She says she's okay with it. I've asked her directly, are there things that you feel like you need to talk about that you don't feel like you want to talk to me about?
That's a big question.
And she said, no, I'm good. But I'm also setting up the proper supports in her life that she can talk to other people about me without worrying about hurting my feelings. So, I have a therapist for my daughter, and I plan on sending her to HDO camp when she's old enough.
Yeah.
She wants to go to NYA day next year if she doesn't have school.
There you
And
go.
all of those things are where she's going to meet her people and meet her community that are going to support her when she has to be a caregiver to me. So I guess not being afraid to talk about it and being completely honest about everything we're going through in our family is the way that I'm approaching it.
Yeah.
That's just what feels right for us. And if it might not be right for other people, and that's totally fine.
Sure.
I do have to say, the one advantage that I have is since my daughter is adopted, she's not at risk for HD, so I don't have that additional layer that so many people in the community have.
Um, yeah, sure. And you know, anybody that's in this community is so happy that that is the case. But you know, the the biggest um, just like you've done for your dad is the advocacy part and the education component. And you know, she may never have to directly personally deal with Huntington's as a impact on her body and her mind kind of way, but um, she'll have such a unique opportunity to advocate and educate and share her story. I mean, her story's just as valid and important and as anyone else's. So because it's going to be my parents kept me in the loop and they taught me all these things and you know I felt prepared. Like that's going to be such, and it is now. Like not is going to be, it is now, and that's such a success story. That's such a
Thank you.
um, yeah, yeah. I genuinely mean that. That is, um, you know, we're lots of people, and the more I talk to people, the more I realize like not knowing was very very normal.
Mm.
Finding out in very traumatic ways was also very very normal,
Mm.
and all the people who went through those experiences, um, the ones I've talked to anyway, are trying to change that normal,
Mm.
and are they're pushing for better education and pushing for the correct exposure and making that generational shift
Mm.
of it doesn't have to be that way,
Right.
and that we're starting to see it. We're seeing it now, especially with people like your daughter who are that's going to be all they know. They're and I am thank you for thank you for doing it that way. I mean, you know, Huntington's disease wasn't ever a secret in my family, but it wasn't something that we really sat down and chatted about either. And from talking to people, being involved in the Huntington's disease community, there's so much value in just sitting down and talking with somebody, explaining something. Well, when you saw this, this is what that was, and just putting some terminology behind it, and you know, it's not the person, it's the disease that's doing
Mhm.
this, and it just goes a long way. It goes such a long way.
Mhm. Yeah, and the term in terms of the terminology, like you mentioned, I find that especially when advocating for my dad, if I just use a little bit of medical terminology with doctors, then they take me a lot more seriously.
It
So
sucks that it's that way. You should be able to
yeah,
talk to a doctor like you're Joe Schmo off the street, and they should respect what you are saying.
yeah,
But you're right. I mean, it's just it's perception.
it's just a little trick. Just learn a few keywords and use them.
That's right. You don't have to know everything. You
No,
just, like you said, a few keywords
yeah,
does the trick.
yeah.
Definitely. Um, if we were talking a little bit about doctors, but as far as being a caregiver goes, um, do you have a piece of advice, just something that you tell a caregiver, um, if you that that doesn't get said enough or brought up enough, when it comes to working, whether it be a patient or a family member?
I think that being a caregiver is extremely challenging, and it's one of those experiences that not everybody understands if they haven't been through it. I'm finding. Um, I don't have a lot of support as a caregiver, and that angers me a lot. It
Mm-hmm.
causes me a lot of stress. I speak to my therapist a lot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had something I was thinking of specifically. I think one of the tricks I've learned with being a caregiver for my dad is that he gets sucked into these systems, and the systems work in a certain way. And if you're trying to do something that's not in the order it's used to,
Yes.
then you butt your head against the wall and you just get no's as answers. And a lot of the times, advocating for my dad is talking about Huntington's disease and telling stories about my dad. Like, this is what his life looked like yesterday. So, this is what we want to get him back to. And just sort of interrupting that pattern that they're set in and trying to really make them pay attention to the human. Because a lot of times the medical systems, even though they're there to support a human, don't support them in the best way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard to speak up in front of a room full of doctors and say to these very smart people, "No, I think you're wrong." Like, that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it in those exact words,
Yeah, of course. With
but
respect.
basically that's what
With
I'm saying.
respect, you don't
Yeah.
know what you're doing.
I would just say, or how about, have you ever thought about such and such? Have you
Sure.
ever thought about doing it this way?
Yeah.
Um, or yeah, I understand that this is the level you want my dad to be at, but I would really like for us to aim up here because
Mm-hmm.
this is where he was before he came in here. So why are we expecting less of him?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's just always telling stories of my dad and the impact he's has, and stories of him playing with a shuffleboard with his granddaughter. Like, he was playing shuffleboard the day before and today he's paralyzed. Like, that's not Huntington. Something else is going on. So
Right.
just using stories like that to advocate within the medical community, I think, is a really useful technique. And of course, I'm always saying thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate everything you're doing. But could we look at this? But could we look at that?
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
at the same time, I don't want to take away from, I don't want to. A lot of these people don't have the experience of working with anybody with Huntington's. Like you were saying, like this is, they may be a doctor, they may be the most educated person in the world when it comes to
yeah,
Huntington's disease. It does not mean that they understand your exact situation or that
right.
person's exact situation.
100%. Like, I'm an expert on my dad.
Yes, yeah, it's that simple
Yeah.
and complex, but very well said. Um, well, what do you, are you working on anything now? What do you have coming up? Do you have some goals in mind? Can you give
Of
us a
course.
tidbit? Can you leak the information to me, please?
I always have big goals and things that I'm working on.
Good.
So, right now, I am at the beginning stages of working on my next book, which is going to be called Huntington's Disease Allies.
Okay.
And I'm currently trying to find sponsors for the book. But
Ooh,
basically,
you hear
what
that?
happened with.
We need this. Hold on. Pause for just 1 second.
Sure, sure.
This needs to be a clip. We are in need of sponsors so that Erin can write this book and get this book out to people. This is
Yeah.
this is just as important as any other advocacy that takes place. It's education. It's real stories. It's impact. Like Erin was saying before we really dove into some things. How do you tell your story in a blog post? Well, these books matter. If you know anybody, if you can send it anywhere, if you can share it to people, do it. This is the stuff that we need. And look, it's not all the time. Sometimes sometimes there's, oh, help us, and it's left that vague. No, become a sponsor and help make this happen.
Thank you.
Anyway, rant over. Continue.
So I have to say that with my first book, or the first anthology, Huntington's Disease Heroes, that ended up that I went to a lot of conferences, and I got invited to speak at a lot of conferences, and a lot of those were medical conferences, not specifically geared towards the community, but more like the clinicians. And the one thing, whenever I'd meet with people, that they would have in common that they'd say to me is, I didn't plan on getting into Huntington's disease, but I heard about it in this course, and then it really intrigued me. And then I met the community, and I fell in love with us, the HD community.
That is a
And there are
great
so many
concept.
people doing amazing things that we're probably never even going to meet, but they're out there trying to help us strangers have a better life. And it could be people who are doing research, it could be some amazing nurse who runs a clinic, or somebody who's doing a really unique program, or is coming up with an app that's going to help people in the community. There's just so many amazing people out there, and I thought it would be really inspiring, not only for the professionals to read, but for us community members to read as well. So that's what my next book is going to be about.
And what's the title?
Members and having conversations with them, and asking them to nominate people, because I don't want it just to
Nice.
be people in the United States and Canada. I want it to have a worldwide view.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a spreadsheet of over 130 people who are doing work to support us to
Wow.
choose from, and they're all categorized by neurologists or social workers, or people who run foundations and things like that. So next, I'll have to try to start narrowing down that list, and reaching out to
Yeah,
those
no
people and
joke.
asking them if they want to be a writer. The tricky thing will be, how do you choose from so many amazing people?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We've got quadruple the amount of people who are infatuated with the Huntington's disease community and want to help us
Yes.
find a cure.
Yes.
Or, like you were saying, I really like the way that you put it. It's anything from people who are going out there and educating on, how to provide health care for people who are
Mm-hmm.
impacted by HD, or, every level. It it really does matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
I'm also gonna stay tuned on that follow up of Bloopy the Alien, because now that
I'll tell my daughter when she gets back.
good.
She's on vacation with her grandma right now, but when she comes back, I'll let her know. H says so.
Yeah, I got a youngin now. I need some stages here.
Right, right, yeah. So we still have a couple of years.
Yes, you do. You got some time. No rush, but I will be checking. Um, Erin, is there anything else that you'd like to say, share, um, let people know before we head out tonight?
I think one thing that I always like to say is that in life we face some really big decisions, especially when it comes to Huntington's disease. And I know for a fact that I was like, I need to make the correct decision. I need to do the right thing. And I was so stressed out and worried about making the wrong decision or disappointing somebody else, that it really made my life a lot harder. And I just always just like to say that no matter what you decide to do, that's the right decision for you and for your life, and that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if anybody understands why you've made those choices, because you're
Mm-hmm.
your own unique person, and you deserve to make the choices that are right for you. So
Yes.
I wish somebody had told me not to stress out so much, but I probably still would have anyway, because that's just the kind of person I am. But I
Well,
wish I wish I didn't have to suffer so much with those decisions.
you being on here tonight and sharing so much with us, I know will reach somebody that is in a similar situation or feels the same way, or
Mhm.
has heard something that you've said and is like, wow, I'm so glad she said that, because I think it all the time, but I'm too scared to say it. Um, so thank you for coming on and being so open and honest um, and just I it makes me so emotional every time somebody comes on here and pours themselves into the conversation, because it takes so much courage. I cannot stress that enough. It takes so much courage to put yourself out there, to share your story. And people who are impacted by HD, you know exactly what I mean. It's like it's, it's like fighting your nemesis, your kryptonite, every day, just to try and talk to somebody about Huntington's.
Yep.
Um, and so this is no light feat, um, and it does a lot of good. So thank you, Erin. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please check out Erin's books. They're in the chat linked up right there. Um, and stay tuned for everything else that Erin has coming up. Thank you.
Well, thanks. Thank you for creating this space for everybody to be able to share their stories. You're
Yeah.
doing an amazing thing.
Thank you,
So,
Erica.
yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This has been Erin and H. Number one, because I'm gonna say that this is gonna happen again. So number one right here.
But I'll have to practice playing games between now and then, maybe.
Yeah, you did kick my butt a few times though. All right, y'all. Love you so much. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Peace.